Hello, everybody. I am sitting on the edge of Piney Creek, and the water is up a little bit. We had some pretty big rains come through over the last couple of days. I wanted to share something with you that I've been noticing. Even now, as I look past the camera, I can see some type of a slider turtle. I don't know if he's a red-eared or a yellow-bellied, but it's one of them. And he or she has walked out on a log and is sitting in the sun. And I've been quiet getting to where I'm sitting so it hasn't scared them. And that got me to wondering over the last few weeks. I had been seeing more and more turtles. I would be bundled up in some coveralls with a windbreaker on and still kind of chilly with the wind blowing and the temperature hovering around 39, 40 degrees, somewhere in there. And so a couple of days ago, I decided that I would just sit down and watch and see what was going on. And that day there was one turtle out on the log, and I was able to sneak in so that he was just sitting there and didn't notice me. And then a few minutes later, I saw two more, one probably around 4 inches across and another maybe 6 inches across. And they came swimming up so that they could breathe. And as I sat here quietly, several more turtles would come up to the surface and then return down after they would float for a little while in the sunshine. That surprised me. I was sitting here cold. I remember the wind blowing across my face, and it was cold that day. And still, I saw 6 turtles at one time surfacing to breathe, and right now there's a beaver. As I was sitting here recording, a beaver came out of their home. They've created, there's a high bank on one side of the creek here, and they've dug into the side of it and created them a home. And every once in a while I'll see them. It's been a while, but one came out and went swimming up the creek. And so now getting back to the turtles. And even with me talking here, the one slider that's out on a log, he's still perched there and enjoying the sunshine. So after noticing for a while that even on these cold days, there were still turtles able to come out and gather some warmth from the sun, I got to wondering what was going on. So after doing some reading, I started to understand that turtles weren't exactly the way I'd always thought them to be. I had assumed that they pretty much hibernated and maybe went down in the mud or somehow just disappeared for the winter. And what I discovered is they don't hibernate in the sense of completely stopping or sleeping. They go through a process to where their metabolism slows down and they don't need much food, and they'll sink down to the deeper water and only surface when they need to breathe. And so what I had been seeing was days that it was warm enough for them to come up and get out. And while the air temperature was in the high 30s, I got to wondering about the water temperature. So before I left, I took a thermometer down to the creek. And what I found out was the water temperature was around 54 degrees. And so that helped explain it even more, because that water temperature is influencing the turtle's body temperature much more than the air. and couple that with them floating up where they see spots where the sun is hitting the surface, and that allows them to draw more warmth and to move around more. I also discovered that once the water temperature drops into the upper 30s, then most of the turtles will stay near the bottom. They'll wait for the temperatures to warm back up. That's what I had been seeing. Winter doesn't mean absence or complete sleep. It just means a slower rhythm. If you're in North Alabama and want to look for turtles yourself, one of the best places to start could be the Wheeler Wildlife Refuge. They have several different boardwalks and quiet backwaters where you can sit and watch and see what turtles or birds or other wildlife come up without disturbing anything. I will put a link to some of the access points for Wheeler in the description below. And it's not just Joe Wheeler. North Alabama is full of water if you start paying attention to it. Whether it's along Limestone Creek or one of the rivers like the Tennessee or the Elk or the Flint that run through this area, you don't have to go far to find a place where turtles might be sunning on a clear day. You don't need much, just slow water, a fallen log catching some light, and a little patience. And turtles aren't the only thing you'll find. All across North Alabama, there are herons standing in the shallows and woodpeckers working the tree lines. More life moving quietly than we usually notice. And I'm going to keep looking for that life. And I'm going to keep trying to pay attention. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If you enjoy my content and want to help the channel, please like and subscribe. Also, I would like to invite you to our free monthly breathwork session, the third Thursday of each month. There's a link in the description to sign up. And as always, thank you for joining me on this vital healing journey as we continue to find our way back to ourselves and back to each other.